Morning, everybody. Just letting everybody flow in here, and we'll get started here at the conclusion of this song. If you all could just chuck a little one up there, let me know my mic's sounding good and not crackle or... All right, we're getting started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, anywhere you are in the world. Happy Friday. Looking good. Just a reminder, this is not financial advice. The information on this channel is provided for education, informational purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. Good morning. All right, going through the pairs once again. So I've got these 5 up here. We've got about an hour to go through this, and then we are going to, I'm going to go through these 5, and then we're going to go into the other pairs as well. And if you all want to see something, you know, these are the 5 that I personally trade, but if you want to see any of these other pairs, that's fine too. We can go into those. I'm going to start off with the NASDAQ as always, and I've kept some notes, or I put some notes up there for myself and also to guide me through this so I don't go off on a tangent. We can kind of stay on track. So this is, like I said, the NASDAQ. I'm on a 15-minute chart, and I'm going to point out some things. Number one, we had a peak formation put in at the high of the week on Tuesday that restarted the cycle, day 1 of the cycle. And then we had day 2 on Wednesday. And basically what I'm doing right now is just going through and getting the details out from left to right to see if what kind of template could be building and what kind of scenarios may be playing out. All right, so I'm not, every single one of these details is not necessarily super important, but it is building the story. And then as I get to the, you know, the right edge of the chart, I can say, okay, well, this are the details that have lined up. This is what the chart looks like. And this is the type of template that could be playing out. And this is what I should be looking for. All right, so day 1 of breakouts on Wednesday as well. And that gave us day 3 on Thursday. Previous day's low, previous day's high. This was an inside day, a narrow range day. And it was also a first green day. This is a peak formation low now, low of week. Let me annotate that real quick. All right, peak formation at the low of the week, peak formation made at the high of the week. So this is our high, and this is our low. And then now we're just kind of sitting in the middle. Currently, right now, the market has been making higher highs and higher lows going back up for where that dump has began. So I have to respect that coming into the session. Are we going to get a blow-off move? Are we going to get, you know, if they sit up here and work the high and then break down, maybe that could be breakout, consolidation day, pullback day, and then a continuation day on a Friday back down towards the low of the week. All right, so I've got that annotated over here. Have we stair-stepped into the high? We've got a stair step over here, but it didn't quite break down and put in a new peak formation low and then continue to go higher. All right, so we're still making higher highs and higher lows. So that first scenario that I talked about, you know, if we broke down and I could be looking for that trade back down through the low based off of this breakout, this would be a 3-day template. Breakout day, consolidation day, and then a continuation day on the 3rd day. But instead, we're still making higher highs and higher lows. So I've got where that dump has began that would be in line with the first green day. And then this consolidation day, if this does turn into a breakout in a you know, a continuation back up towards the high, you could be looking at a measured move of this consolidation day, which would put us pretty much just back up to, you know, where that dump has began. I'm going to get some of these lines off the screen because that's going to drive me nuts. All right. So important details. I know I said a lot of words. Important things to note is this is day 3 of the cycle, number 1. Number 2, this is where the dump began. Yesterday was a first green day, and this is our box that we're working with, and we're just on the inside of that box. They have triggered previous day's low or previous week's low, so other time frame traders may be involved, as well as the previous day's low, so other time frame traders are driving this market, which is good. It's not just going to be an inside week. All right, so those are the 2 things that I'm looking for. I've tried to put my annotations up on all the charts to see like which, you know, what 2 scenarios I could be looking for. All right, going to US 30. As I'm going through this, if you have questions, please stop me. I'm watching the little chat box. What'd you say? Gold. Yep, we're going to go there. All right, US 30. Okay, so opening range for the week, Monday. And it's been unidirectional all week long. So when this happens, it's either going to turn into, number one, a trending week where it just continues to make lower lows and lower highs all week long. And then maybe this turns into a high of day continuation trend trade back down through the low. That is a possibility. However, and when we're talking about 3-day templates, one variation of the 3-day template could be, number one, for the trend trade, we have a breakout day, a lower low consolidation day, and then now we're on the inside of a low and a high. So that first scenario that I just talked about, the trend continuation trade, breakout day, lower low consolidation day, and then maybe looking for the vertical blow off down through the low. That is one possibility. The other one would be based off of a 3-day template. We have 3 days of breakouts outside of the opening range, push 1, Wednesday push 2, Thursday push 3, 3 days of breakouts. And then now we have lower lows and lower highs. So I need a higher high to be formed. So what would that look like? Basically, what would need to happen between now and 9:30, which is a lot of bars to take place on a 15-minute chart, they would need to make a higher high and a pullback, all something like this, and then a continuation up. I don't like really going long from the high of the day. I understand that there's times and there's going to be times where that happens, especially when you get tightly wound, coiled channels that are going higher. So is that a possibility? Yes. I just think that a lot more needs to happen before I would be willing to do that. The most ideal scenario when this happens, 3 pushes outside the opening range, 3 days of breakouts. This day over here would just look a little bit different. They would stay consolidated down low, maybe even trail back down like this into the low, and then make a higher high and then pull back. And now we're at the low of the day, and I can take that trade back up through the high of the day and go back for previous targets, like previous day's high and something along those lines. And that's why I emphasize so much about learning to frame the day and figuring out which daily templates line up the best with what you believe is happening. So the fact that I have 3 drives outside of the opening range, that template is not there yet, but we do have a breakout going higher. So I'm going to mark this off just with something like this. This is my current consolidation up high. If it starts to break down, I know which of the 2 scenarios to look for. Okay. All right. Everybody good with this? Everybody understand the 2 scenarios and what I'm talking about? If not, please, let me know and I can try to explain better. It's still early in the morning. I'm not fully caffeinated yet. Euro USD. All right, we'll go to Euro USD here in a second. Okay, Russell. I think I left this one blank on purpose. Good stuff. So we had the opening range, pretty wide range on Monday. And then this was the first breakout day over here. All right, I'm going to put BD1. This is breakout day 1. Breakout day 2. Now let's try and figure out our 3-day template. All right, we got an inside day here. Oh. Help. There we go. Okay, so now we got an inside day. It was also technically a first green day, so this is going to be our day 1 low over here. Okay, did this break out? No, it did not. Okay, so what is happening right now is obviously the market's been going down. Inside day. And now I need to figure this out. So similar to these notes over here. On the day itself, in fact, you know what? I'm just going to copy this. And then I'm going to slam it over here into Russell. Can I do that? I can. Very nice. Okay, so it's the same sort of scenario as the US 30 as far as what has happened throughout the week. We're making lower lows and lower highs. Okay, we got 2 pushes outside of the opening range now. We don't have that third push just yet. We might not even get it, and that's fine. The most important thing, yes, there's 2 pushes outside of the opening range. Don't let that blind you. It always comes back. It always, no matter what template you're looking at, it always comes back to what do the 3 things that markets do. All right, where was the last breakout that took place? And what is the market currently doing to prove or disprove what you're looking at? So this was the breakout for breakout day 2, and then we consolidated underneath. Now we're back up on top. So is this breakout going to succeed or is it going to fail? And what kind of day do we have currently right now? So maybe this trade already happened in London for the long reversal trade based off the first green day, because now we have a peak formation high at the high of the day and a pullback, which is fine. But now what's going to happen in New York, I have no idea. All right, so as far as templates go, maybe not the absolute best, but we do have this broken down coming into New York in a pullback. So the next target that I would have in this scenario would be, or the first target I would have would be that breakout level, because they could just be coming back down to retest whether or not this breakout is going to succeed or fail. But if this was to continue to break down for that third push, obviously previous day's low of day is going to be a better target. All right. Let's see. Thursday, peak formation low. Just 1, 2, and then coming up for 3. And how did this end? 1, 2, and then 3, peak formation high. First pullback now into the EMA. Still very early in the session, but that's kind of the gist of what's going on. All right, I don't really have a lot to say for this one. I think I'm going to move on. All right, let's go to oil. All right, big notes to point out on this one. Number 1, whenever you have a coming into the end of the week, and we still have not hit previous day's high or previous day's low, the possibility or the probability of this turning into an inside week goes up, all right? So what happens with an inside week is, and you can go back and look yourself, go and find every inside week that you can, where they spent all week long not hitting either side. Usually what happens is it just turns into a very choppy sort of scenario, all right? There's nothing driving it. There's nothing pushing it in one direction. There's no really big, huge, explosive moves. It looks like there was a decent trade yesterday in the New York session, which is great. All right, so that being said, let's see if we can find a 3-day template that would be suitable. We had a day 1 yesterday on Thursday. This is an outside day. Peak formation high, peak formation low, all in one day. So we had a consolidation day, inside day, peak formation high, peak formation low. And then now coming into today with our end of day consolidation, they broke out, they pulled back, 1 big bar down, 2 and 3, peak formation at the low of the day. And then now there's that tightly wound channel that I keep on bringing up. This is what I mean by tightly wound. Big bar down, not a lot of overlap. Bars keep pushing higher, and every time they put one back down, it just keeps dragging higher. This is a I would consider textbook perfect tightly wound channel. If you're looking for examples of that, this is perfect. So what does that actually give us for today? What could happen? Peak formation at the low of the day, not quite the low of the week. Breakout opening range, peak formation high, peak formation low, consolidation down low, channel, maybe looking for an explosive move. Who knows? Okay, so what would I actually need to look for? Number 1, if it goes up here and breaks down, I would be happy to take that short. If it continues to do this, maybe this first breakout, and it pulls back one more time to slam back down into the low, and then we get the trend move coming out of that channel. And where would it be going? Probably back for this level here, or high of week. Okay. But like I said, this is an inside week, so maybe less ideal, but the pattern does look really good. I'm going to be watching this. Okay, and then gold. Sam, I have to agree and also disagree just because gold has triggered previous day's high, or previous week, excuse me. And this is also broke out once, broke out twice, 2 weeks of breakouts up. So let's take a look at the template. And instead of a inside outside, this was an outside inside. So we got an outside day, then we get an inside day. And then now today is day 3 of the cycle. And this looks really good as well for a day 3 trade. Whether it be long, short, I don't really care. I'm going to watch coming into New York and see, let's see, 5-minute chart. So we're still making lower lows and lower highs. That's all very, very clean, very, very clear. Let's see. We got the lower low over here. Actually, this was the first lower low here. And a pullback and a new lower low. So I really like gold as well. Let's see. All right. I'm going to break this down a little bit more. So day 1 of the cycle was made by that first outside day. Then the inside day was that day 2 consolidation day. And then now day 3... not worried about direction. I'm just looking for the setup. Depending on how the chart is looking coming into 9:30, the structure and the engulfments and things like that. We already have a peak formation at the low of the day. Peak formation was made at the high of the day yesterday in New York. And then we got a new peak formation high in London. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Okay. So this is looking pretty good. Everybody good with this? Remember, it's not about direction. It's about the setup. Are we going to get a low of day reversal? Or are we going to get a high of day, high of session, continuation down, back for previous day's low? Yep, where's the money? Where is the money? Okay, so that's pretty much it for these 5 pairs. What do you all want to see? We got those really quick. There wasn't a overwhelming amount of... Here, you want to see NASDAQ again? Here's my notes for NASDAQ. Day 1, 2, and 3. Yesterday was an inside day. Paulie, good morning. Here's my notes for both scenarios. Are we stair-stepping into the previous day's high of the inside day for the reversal back down? Or is this going to do an expansion? Okay, I'm seeing silver. All right, so we got a breakout day 1 on Wednesday. This would have been day 1, day 2 of the cycle. This breakout on Tuesday failed, day 1, day 2. And then we get a day 3 on Thursday, and that breakout failed to go lower. So this was peak formation high, peak formation low at the low of the week, and now we've traded back down into that low. Okay, so this was a day 1. Is this going to be a day 1 failure? Are we going lower? Kind of seems like it, maybe. But right now, we're just down working at the low of the week. There was no signal day on Thursday, just breakout day, day 1. Breakout day 1, excuse me. The whole idea being, is that breakout going to succeed or is it going to fail? Peak formation was made above the breakout level, which this is actually really clean. So that gives us peak formation high and low. There's our channel. The reason this is a peak formation high is because that breakout level, okay, so they is it going to succeed or fail? It's failing. Okay, peak formation high, lower low, peak formation low, and there's our channel, okay? So what this channel now does is give me a really good reference point for just price action on the day itself. I've got a 15-minute chart up. Is this going to turn into peak formation, low of day, low of week, first pullback, reversal, or are we going up here to continue to make lower lows and lower highs? And I can wait for one of those things to start to play out as the session continues. Sam, I really appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay. Natural gas. Actually, I saw Bitcoin up there as well. I'm going to go to natural gas. Oh, let's go to Bitcoin futures. I think it'll be more accurate. There we go. What happened to this? Why is it in red? Did I miss something? Huh. Okay. Anyways, we go to BTC. Okay, so peak formation low was made on Wednesday. That's going to restart the cycle because that was at the low of the current week. You can see that nice big W, day one. Hey, this is a decent template. Those of you who trade Bitcoin, peak formation. Man, I want to go pull up my 3-day cycle slideshow. All right, this is like right out of the slideshow. So when you get a peak formation made at the low of the week, and then following, you get a breakout day immediately. I was saying in that video, always project this across because this is one of the templates. I know that a lot of those other ones, like I was pointing out all of these details, and they're not all necessarily perfect templates. I'm just pointing out details for you all so that you can go forward and backtest certain templates and certain occurrences that reoccur so that you can build your playbook. And hopefully that's what's helpful from you attending these streams. But there are certain templates that are I would consider to be more perfect than others. And this is one of those 3-day cycle templates where it's peak formation at the low of the week, followed by, on the next day, breakout day one. Project that level across. Think about the only 3 things that markets do. Peak formation, breakout, pullback, consolidation down at the low of the day. That's the dump and pump template, except now, as far as timing, this is also an inverse head and shoulders, which this is really gross looking as far as price action goes. But there's an inverse head and shoulders down here, peak formation low, double bottom. There's the higher low of that inverse head and shoulders. This is really good and perfect. It's just now, what do we do for New York? Are we still going to go back to the high? I think the trade was down here. This could, of course, continue to expand. But is that a perfect textbook setup that I would be willing to take? Me personally, probably not. Can you explain why yesterday was day 2 as breakout from Wednesday? Talking about NASDAQ, Stuart. Did I make a mistake? I'm human. Let's see. Or do I need to specify something? Let me reread your message, Stuart. So Stuart was asking, can you explain why yesterday was day 2 as the breakout from Wednesday failed on Thursday? Does that not make it day 1? Or does that only happen on day 1 breakout? No, Stuart, you're mixing up. Okay, this is actually my fault, and I apologize. This is separate. Take this, put it in its own little box. This is completely separate from this. This is day 2. And I always need to put this up here so people don't get confused. And that's my fault. These are 3-day cycle count. All right. So this is day 1, 3-day cycle. Day 2, 3-day cycle. Day 3, 3-day cycle. Same thing over here. Day 3, 3-day cycle. This is breakout day 1 because this has triggered previous day's high multiple times. So there's... The longs have been stopped out, or the shorts have been stopped out, excuse me. Now the shorts have been stopped out, and people are short in the market. That's why this is day 1 breakout. Hopefully that makes sense, Stuart. It's really not, I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound arrogant. It's not complicated. It's just, it looks like a lot of annotations up on the screen, but it's not. It's just, these are all separate things. Day 1 breakouts, and then I'm tracking the 3-day cycle. And then I also have my signal day, just in case. And then from all of this information, I'm deciding what kind of 3-day template do we currently have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And that's where this note comes from. Stuart, did that make sense? Or have I just gone completely off the rail? Okay. Silver. I think I already went over this one. I did. Someone said natural gas. I think this is the second time I've added this. What did I just do? There we go. Holy cow. Oh, all right. Hey, so this is kind of similar as well. So this is peak formation made at not quite the low of the week. So this is day 1 here. Day 2, which I already got that annotated as well. Day 1, day 2, first red day. But then we immediately break out the following day. This is one of those templates that I talked about in the playbook videos where peak formation was made, or this is just a consolidation day, excuse me, first red day. But then after you get a first red day, this would be like a down closed bar on a daily chart. And then the next bar just goes vertical straight up and breaks out. So this is breakout day 1. I would be looking based off of this template here, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, on this day here. That is prime territory for trend trade, which kind of looks like Bitcoin a little bit right now, right? Like we just looked at this similar template. A market making higher highs and higher lows, end of day consolidation, comes back down in 3 peaks, trades into the low, peak formation at the low, engulfment, and then the rest of the session becomes kind of gross and choppy, but the afternoon trend trade, that's what the template was supposed to do over here. Okay. Now, as far as today goes, we got day 1 breakouts here. 2. And then we didn't quite get the 3rd, but we did just get my favorite appearance peak formation because I'm a charting nerd. That half Batman, there's the ear and the head, and we're rolling. Maybe we're going to get the nose. I don't know. All right, so where would this be going? Maybe back to this breakout level. But as far as like actual 3-day templates that I'd be willing to trade, do I have something here? I've got 2 pushes outside of the opening range. A market that's still making higher highs. Yes, this is making on the day itself lower lows and lower highs. But as far as an actual 3-day template that I'd be willing to trade, I don't see it here. Why was Monday not day 1 breakouts? We didn't break out of the previous day's high, TR. Notice this is previous day's high here. This is the first day. They were going down. This is the first day where they started going back up. They broke out to the high and closed. Does that make sense? Hopefully. All right. Euro pound. And I saw Euro USD as well. I think Euro USD was asked first. Let's go take a look at that. I think my chart's messed up. It's the worst. All right, Euro USD. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we got 3 days of breakouts. 1, 2, 3, peak formation low. First green day on Thursday. And then now that leads us into today. So let's take a look. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, as far as the template goes, this was day 1 because this is a breakout, peak formation low. Breakout fails on the following day and breaks out in the opposite direction. So now, similar to Bitcoin and also, was it natural gas that I was just looking at? Yeah. Similar to those two, now we have day 1 here of the 3-day cycle. Excuse me. Then we have day 1 breakouts on day 2 of the cycle. In the upwards direction. Where is the high of the week? All the way up there. Now, that being said, does that mean this is going to go up today? No. Does that mean that it has a chance or a possibility that it could go up? Yes, absolutely. So I would be looking at what has today done. Let's see. End of day consolidation looks something like this. They did make a slightly lower low here, but then they went back and made another higher high. So what does that mean? Now I just need to look to the right of the pattern to make a determination what I'm doing. So peak formation low, peak formation high. The original idea or thesis would be this is a trend trade back towards the high of the week. Peak formation low, level 1, level 2 of rise. Here, and then here. And then maybe going up for the blow off. Possibility. All right. Now, of course, if it continues to work in this, whatever this is happening here, if it starts to break down, obviously I don't want to be trading that. But I would be waiting for longs to start getting rewarded. See this? It's like an expanding, whatever that pattern's called, like an expanding wedge or whatever. Microphone, megaphone, whatever. I would be waiting for longs to start getting rewarded if I was going to do something like this at the timings. Natural gas chart for a Wanda. I don't think I've ever pulled one up for... Hey, TR, I could just be losing my mind, but I can't find it. And it's probably that I just can't find it. Did I do dollar yen? No, I did not. Let's take a look at the earlier in the week from an earlier stream. Okay, that's all I got is the end of day consolidation up there. Good. So we had Monday, day 1 of the cycle. That was also first day of breakouts going higher. Okay, so day 1 breakouts up. Day 2 breakouts up on Tuesday. And then we got day 3 breakouts on Wednesday. We're still in breakout going higher, though, so keep that in mind. This is an inside day. We've triggered the low of the inside day. This is my end of day consolidation. Something like this. And you could even, realistically, you can even make this a little bit smaller to fit the day. Okay. So is this going to be a pullback day, or is this just going to be... I don't really know. As far as like a 3-day template goes, this is not my most ideal setup, so I'm probably just not going to be watching this. It does, Stuart. Where did I say otherwise? So Stuart said, this is what is confusing me. I thought if a breakout fails on the following day, it resets the cycle to day 1 if it is at the low of the week. Yes, that is true. So if, let's say over here. Let's say that Friday, I'm just going to use this as an example, Stuart. Let's just say that this low here was the low of the week, and this broke out. And then on Monday, it came back up and did this. So that's what I'd be project this across. I would say this is day 1, and this is day 2. And then I can look for a template on day 3. That makes sense, Stuart? What would make it a candidate? If this breakout hadn't gone up as high as it did. I'm not saying this can't be a good trade. It's just not a template that I personally look for. Like I would have to trade this as like breakout pullback. And then on the day itself, if we start breaking out of this rectangle, but that's just not something that I'm really prepared to do. It's just not a template that I love to trade. Yeah, I do that a little bit different, Mills. What is day 1 now after inside day? What are you talking about, Mama? Oh, so this was day 3. Day 1, day 2, and 3. We get a breakout day on day 3 that's trending higher. So this turns to 1, 2. Today's day 3 again. So we're currently on day 3 right now, so we have to see what today does for US dollar, Japanese yen. All right, any other pairs you all want to see? Boy, we got 107 in here this morning. Good stuff. Good to have you all here. Please look at gold. Yeah, I can go back to gold. Are you staying on? No, I'm going to go focus on the session and knock it out. That's what I got for gold. Today's day 3. Inside day. Pullback. And based off of this outside day, inside day, this is actually a price pattern that you can look for even on a 5-minute chart. This is a good entry model. Outside bar, inside bar. Or outside double inside bar. And then a breakout. Those are good entries. In my opinion. Obviously. What's your best chart? So, like, which pairs am I going to be watching today? These are the only 5 that I look at, but out of these 5, I really like gold. I think this has a lot of potential because of this outside, inside, and then now we're on day 3. This is pretty out of my playbook. I kind of wish they would have triggered previous day's low after this inside day. That would have given me a lot more confidence because then other time frames have been triggered in. And then I would be a lot more confident about if they made a higher high, like this first pullback. I'd be really happy to look for this to go long. That's gold. I think I'm really clear on the NASDAQ as well. The 2 scenarios are very clear to me. Is it my favorite? Not really. I kind of wish that there was like a... like if I could find a good Friday pink rabbit, that'd be nice, but I don't see it. So I think indexes and gold are probably going to be my favorite. I don't really like oil as much because of the fact that it's still an inside week. However, this pattern is really good, a really clean pattern. So I'm conflicted between all 4. I'll probably have all 4 of them up. So yesterday on NASDAQ was day 2. Hold on. So this hit both sides of the week over here. This was day 1. We got day 2. Day 3 is an inside day. And whenever I have a day 3 that's an inside day, because we're still consolidated on the inside of the high and the low, I move that over to the next one. I shift over day 3 to the next day. Whenever day 3 lands on an inside day. Because you have to think the whole purpose of the 3-day cycle, it's not just to have a fancy number up there on the screen, right? And I know that sounds rude, but I'm just trying to... Like, it's great if you get all the rules down and you understand what the rules are to identify cycle day 1, 2, and 3. But if you don't really understand what does that cycle mean, because George Taylor in the pits, he had observed all the traders, basically the big money, the banks or whoever, as coming from him. He observed and saw that they would basically run the market into a low or a high. They basically would run the market into an extreme and reverse it for 2 to 3 days. And there were certain conditions where the cycle wasn't perfect, and that would be like those extended runs where they just keep on going 5, 6, 7 days in a row. And the cycle has to just keep repeating because they haven't reversed. But whenever you get day 1 of the cycle and then they run it up for 2 days, so this would be like day 1 first green day or something along those lines, day 1 of the cycle regardless. And then you get day 2 trending away from day 1 lows. And then that gives you the opportunity on day 3 of the cycle to look for a completed cycle. That would be day 1, peak formation day. Day 2, trend away from day 1 lows. Day 3 is only going to be 2 things. It's either going to be they're working the high or it pulls back and you get a day 3 blow off in the direction of the trend. And that's it. That's why, in my opinion, it's so simple. like, it sounds complicated, and I understand that, where it's like, oh my gosh, he's got all these different day 1, 2s, and 3s, first red, first green, all these different things to learn. But once you actually learn them and you understand the cycle and what it means, it makes a lot more sense, and it does become very simple, because that used to really frustrate me a lot when I was told it's simple. Day 1, 2, and 3, you got it. And I was like, yeah, okay. And it was annoying. But then once I saw it, I was like, okay, now I get it. I get why it was so simple. What's going on with GU? Let's take a look. All right, 2 to 3 weeks of breakouts. I'm assuming that meant down or up. I've seen you put cat up there like 3 times, so my fault. I'm not ignoring you. I'll go to the cat next. Week 1 breakouts. Yeah, so this was in reference to going down. So we've been going down for 2 to 3 weeks. Got a peak formation day yesterday. So this is day 1. Stuart, if you're still in here, this is what you're talking about, I'm assuming. The breakout of Tuesday's low at the low of the current week that fails the next day. This is day 1, day 2. Because now we have trend away from day 1 lows and close. This is a first green day. And then now on day 3, we can look for the trend opportunity to trend in line with that first green day if the template presents in that way. So we've made a higher high. We pulled back 1, 2, 3. It's 8:30, so I don't know if there's news. But yeah, that's the idea. First green day, day 2. Today's day 3. We got a peak formation made at the low of the day, and we're making higher highs and higher lows. Will that continue? I don't know. It could blow off. And if I were to take a trade like this, the idea would be this is a dump. This is a consolidation down low. And now we would be looking for the pump to go back for where that dump began here. Momo, I think you missed that. That's something that I do differently. When I was originally learning the 3-day cycle, that, from my understanding, that was not a rule. So I've always gone with the way I learned it. And it works well. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know? So day 1 can be an outside day as long as there was a fault. Yeah, exactly. No worries, Cody. I encourage these kind of questions because it's good. Yeah, so like outside days. Which one of these had an outside day? I can't remember. Was it this one? Nope. There we go. So this is at the high of the week, right? So we're at the highest point that this current week is traded. They broke out and they failed. So that's what reset the cycle, was that failed breakout at the high of the current week. The outside day just happened to take place as well, if that makes sense. Good stuff. Shepherd. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to probably go and get into the session if there's no more questions or anything like that. EU is broken out day 3. What would price have to do? That's a good question. Let's go to GU again. I know I was just about to end, but he asked another question. So I'm going to answer his question, and then I will depart. What would it have to do for a reversal? All right, let's talk about that. So one of the really... Number 1, this is making higher highs and higher lows. Number 2, every time they pull back, notice how the bars are going higher. All right, this is a really big thing that I look for reversals, especially, and for trend trades too. But one of the biggest things that has helped me with entries and not taking poor quality entries is waiting and paying for more information by getting a bad or worse entry. All right. This is something that I learned from Al Brooks. He said, take the second entry long or short and pay for more information. And then also, like S&B Capital, they talked about being on the right side of the V or W. The V, like A tops, V bottoms, whatever. Being on that right side and waiting for the market to go through the consolidation process, start to break down, and then getting on that other side of the V or W. And the big thing, my big takeaway from that is if I'm going to take a second entry short, so let's say that this continues to make higher highs and higher lows until it doesn't. So it starts to break down. We're making higher highs and lows. Let's say that it comes back down and makes a lower low. Well, do I want to take that first entry short? No, I want to wait for number 1 to 3 push pullback. That's part of my entry criteria. That's something that I have to do. If I don't do that, I'm taking currently the market is counter trend. I'm taking a trade from the high back down to the current low and getting out. And that's like a nail and bail sort of scenario. But if I get in after the break in structure, the lower low, what I'm going to wait for over here once it goes back into consolidation is I like to wait for them to let the shorts start making more money, because so frequently, so often, what happens is you get this initial low here and then the market engulfs to come back down, but it's about the positioning of where that low lands, right? So the fact that this engulfment doesn't take this low out is suspect, because what could happen from this? The next bar forms and goes vertical and engulfs the previous bar, and now there's a higher low, and I'm wrong altogether, and this is probably a trend trade to go higher or something along those lines, or they're going back to retest the high, compared to if this bar were to engulf and come back down here like this, and the shorts are now being rewarded. They're continuing to be capable of making money. Second entry is short. I found these to work out a lot better. They're a lot more reliable. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, great stream. I really like this morning time. I'm glad that we're doing it this time. It seems like you all do as well, because the numbers are proving it. We had a lot more people in the stream, so good stuff. So every Wednesday and Friday, Wednesdays and Fridays, 8 a.m., we'll be doing these streams. Y'all have been great. I'll see you in the next one. You'll have a great weekend. Bye-bye.